Last year, the United States exported $131 billion in foods and beverages and feeds to the world. These products went to different countries for a variety of reasons, such as underperformance in terms of the ability to self-sustain the population needs, delicacies not found domestically, and capitalism gains from having varieties of food to choose from. The big three products that are exported include soybeans at $24 billion, meat and poultry at $17 billion, and corn at $11 billion. As an example, a single bushel of corn averaged $3 in price when traded internationally. This means that roughly 6 billion bushels of corn were traded internationally in 2016 from the United States alone. The United States has long led the world in food exports, placing first dozens of times in recent decades. With agricultural exports growing to $149 billion in 2017 and a population of around 321.4 million people, that's roughly $5,000 worth of exports per person. This has long been a staple of American society and world trade. Countries have been in a drought? No problem. Find your most valuable resource and call the U.S. for your scarcity needs. In 2015/2016 fiscal year, Russia imported roughly 586,000 metric tons of soybeans from the U.S. for continued development of livestock and poultry output in the country. This was before a ban that was a part of a list of counter-sanctions imposed by Vladimir Putin on the United States and European Union. These counter-sanctions were a response to the imposed trade embargoes sanctioned on Russia after an abrupt invasion of Ukraine into the Crimean region. The U.S. and EU both agreed that until the military presence was withdrawn and the area once again became Ukrainian-governed, that the major exporters of food would withhold what would have been freely traded agricultural products between the countries. As a surplus, they would sit in granaries or be traded to other countries. This left thousands without a sufficient supply of products like soybeans, corn, wheat, sugarcane, fruits, vegetables, and meats. As a result, prices in Russia spiked for these sparse goods, and supply and demand took its course. While most would argue this was a necessary action on the part of those who advocate for world democracy, the United States has a track record of withholding food exports over the head of a nation in an attempt to encourage the development of a government. This has been an extremely difficult crisis both logistically, logically, and morally. For example, for roughly the past 3 decades, the country of Somalia regularly reports that they do not have enough food and are starving to death. The United States during the early 90s had relief groups sending large amounts of rice and corn to supplement the shortage, as well as prominent botanists attempting to solve the problems with GMOs that would allow these necessities for life to grow in harsh African conditions. But after an unfortunate series of events, the unstable government in place was overthrown by a group of rebels that led to a power struggle when the U.S. decided to intervene with a military presence to restore the peace. What began as a peace mission soon turned into a full-out war, and with the rebels as an unfortunate incident known as Operation Gothic Serpent, or the Battle of Mogadishu, was well documented with the loss of multiple U.S. personnel. This conflict had an award-winning movie made about it named Black Hawk Down. This conflict led to a stoppage of the U.S. relief in the area, which left the innocent people in the area to starve to death. A similar situation played out routinely in surrounding countries over the next decades in war-torn Africa. These countries include South Sudan, Sierra Leone, Central African Republic, and Libya. Currently, the U.S. has decided that the largest concentration of sanctions should be placed on North Korea and its people for the acts of Kim Jong-un and a power-hungry regime that refuses to stop nuclear armament attempts. As North Korean people starve, the U.S. compiles its food exports, and what doesn't get traded is stored for our personal use. A country that is plagued with obesity, diabetes, heart failure, kidney failure, cancer from carcinogens found in processed food, and its own population of impoverished and hungry people is storing food for a rainy day. No one said progress was easy, but no one stopped to think that maybe the cost is too high to get your way. While it's highly possible that a nuclear-armed North Korea is a national security threat, I can guarantee you that a starving infant and its mother are not. Human beings that are treated worse than the food we raise here in the U.S., to eat and send other places, dying because of our national negligence to their basic human rights. A negligence that spawned war and genocide for centuries, all because we believe in something different. Whether it's a way of life, a religious belief, a duty to civility, or adversity in the wake of poor circumstances, we have continued to rob people of their natural rights that Martin Luther once described to us in aspiration of a better society. No longer, with today's capabilities to overcome grim odds, can we ignore our fellow man. While many of us don't wield the power to change these circumstances, we do hold one very powerful thing, that thing being our voice. We can be heard thanks to the democracy so many have fought for, and in doing so we should amplify that effect so that others may see the benefits that democracy has. So let's speak up. Allow the internet to amplify the reach of that voice to hundreds instantaneously. I propose that we feed the world, not just because we can, but because we should. Advocate for congressmen and senators with friendly and favorable foreign policies. These open-minded individuals who accept change and step towards a better world. Advocate and educate about GMOs and how they can help feed a starving Africa. Fight the companies that want to selfishly monetize these assets to build higher sales. The earth has enough sunlight to fall on it each year to feed 1 billion people, and with fossil fuels in deep pockets, we're able to feed those in need 10 times over. Get on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and spread the word. Hashtag #FeedTheWorld2K17. Hold companies like Coca-Cola, the world's largest distributor of beverages, to their slogan, "I'd like to buy the world a Coke." Group fund and take over the monetary needs to make it happen. Strength in numbers can conquer the problem. Hashtag #FeedTheWorld2K17.